The purpose of Vidura's discussion with Dhritarashtra is not simply a philosophy. The purpose of any
Recording in
philosophy
progress.
has to turn into action based on that philosophy. So therefore, the whole idea of here Vidura speaking to Dhritarashtra to make him understand that Pandavas deserve their due share. Dhritarashtra has to take the responsibility of giving what belongs to the Pandavas. Right. So therefore, Vidura explained to Dhritarashtra, your children, the creeper dharma, the creeper is always entwined with some support. It has to have a tree, it has to have some kind of platform. Then only it can grow. So Vidura said, your sons are like the creeper and Pandavas are like shala tree, tall. Right? Creeper cannot sustain without the tree. He made this very clear. And just to compliment him, just to make him feel, and he gave another beautiful example. And it's so true that wherever there are animals, the wild animals, the forest sustains, because people will not dare to enter into the forest when there is wild animals. So the lions and forest complement each other. Again, in this also, Vidura hinted, your sons are like a space or a forest, and the ruler of that forest are the Pandavas. And therefore, my dear brother, give what belongs to the Pandavas, give that position what belongs to the real people, real person, King Yudhishthir. And then Vidura explained to Dhritarashtra, respecting elders bring prana of younger back into body. This is another whole dimension of prana. The whole, we'll maybe sometime we'll work on, deal on this. The prana has a connection to our relationship. So therefore, in the Sanatan Sanskriti, Pagelag, touch the feet, Ashirvad Dena, all these are quite common factor which have disappeared completely. So therefore, the prana, the substance is lacking amongst everybody because everybody is younger to somebody else. The Mahabharat explains, when you are not offering respect to a superior person, then the prana wants to leave the body. So sharir ek sadharan, it becomes ordinary dead body. But if the prana goes, then it becomes substantial. So therefore, it is important that one should offer obeisances to the superiors. And the superiors have to bless them. Bhadram. Now, let there be stability in your life. Welcoming the guest. Right? There should be a space for them to sit. Water to wash their feet. Drinking water. Because washing the feet is not about only cleanliness. Again, the prana comes. Because all our energy in regards to entering into the body, all this dark magic and everything, if you step on it, now how much it is true, how much is not true, one should not discuss this unless you have the knowledge about it. There is a lot of truth to that. So when people would come from outside, they're tired, they're exhausted, washing their feet makes it very cool. So the entire system becomes pacified. And from an energy level, there is another story only. Then giving them water to drink. Then asking for their welfare. And then part of that, giving them nice bhojan. Atiti Satkar. Nowhere it is mentioned that you give them wine, liquor, beer and everything else. Right? And then our Vidura explained Udasinata. Now, udasin is not indifference. Udasin doesn't mean that you are not at all interested, you are desensitized, you are brutal. Udasina, ut asin, sitting in a higher platform, not becoming part of the favoritism world, not becoming part of, oh, I'm compassionate to the poor, I'm fascinated by the wealthy. That aspect is an important aspect of bhikshu. If the bhikshu or a renounced order person is not able to do that, then he should continue on the platform of rishi, continue the platform of raja, where the raja have to be in the land of duality. But when he's trying to transcend the duality, then he has to basically work on this principle. No enmity, no friendship. And one of the, again, see how Vidura, while speaking about the order of Vairagya, official order of Vairagya, he also talks about Vyavhar. This is one of the most brilliant concept Vidura is speaking. What is that? Do not trust those who are not trustworthy. And do not trust completely those who are trustworthy. Otherwise, it can uproot the foundation. Think about this very clearly. Because the mind is the most untrusty person. We cannot trust. And therefore, logic, external mathematics becomes an important principle before we trust. Sometimes people say, this certain business communities, they have such a trust, they just give the money without keeping. They have hundreds of years of legacy. It is not built on 5 days, 5 years or 2 years. It is built on legacy after legacy, having some kind of same blood, right? So therefore, they can do it not because they have a blind trust, but there is an investment of long years. A short relationship based upon certain belief system, Shraddha, has caused lot of problem amongst people. Or he was a spiritualist, therefore I did. No. There is no long lasting investment in relationship. So therefore, that's one of the profound logic of Vidura. It's again very interesting. Fire in water. Kshatriya from Brahma, metal from stone. What happens? That when they go back to their source, how do you control a Rajoguna king who develops some kind of unconscious liking for killing, right? And this was even warned by Mother Sita to Lord Ramachandra. She glorifies him, but he says there could be a possibility that you are becoming unnecessarily a killer. So therefore, a Kshatriya becomes pacified under the guidance of an integrated Brahmagyani. Right? Fire is pacified in the water. Fire is not destroyed in the water. There is a fire in the water. Similarly, all tejas are pacified in their source. अपने स्तोत्र में जाने के बाद शांत हो जाते हैं. Again, another principle Vidura explains. One who is not a friend should not be told anything. अपने मित्र नहीं है, उसको कुछ भी मत बताओ. If you are flying, you are sitting in the train. If you are telling, oh, we have to go for a marriage. So what happens? Oh, if they are going for the marriage, there must be wealth, there must be gold, there must be money. So unknown people. That is an important principle. He is not talking to live a life of secrecy. He is talking a life of discretion. A friend but a fool. If you have a friend but मूर्खता पे वो जाता है, cannot be told anything, right? And third, he has a panditya, but there is a chanchalata. So if you want to choose a minister, then he has to be having these qualification transcended. बुद्धिमान है परंतु चंचलता व्यक्ति है, उसके प्रति आप सीक्रेट इसको नहीं बता सकते हो. So choosing the minister, imagine, the kind of last few days what is happening in the political circle. The Indian services, the intelligence services, ED, the kind of operations they have done, it's a praiseworthy. Having such a big team and not basically leaking them, that's amazing. Now Vidura, apparently very soft-hearted person. He's a Tirtha personified. Tirti Kurvanti Tirthan, he's a Tirtha personified. Such Vidura has no stupid idea of embracing everyone and everywhere. Right? While you are living in this world, it is but natural. Elsewhere, Vidura says, in this world, you have friends, you have enemies, you have neutral party, you have people who will help you, you'll have people whom you will help. So Shatru Shesha Asheshata. Vidura, who is much more sober than Mahatma Gandhi, cannot be compared, because from the sky there was a voice when they had to cremate him. After the death of Vidura, they were about to cremate. There was a sound from the sky saying he has achieved Brahma Jyoti. ब्रह्म को प्राप्त किया हुआ है, दिव्यत्व को प्राप्त किया है. His body needs to be given samadhi. So not anybody taking samadhi, because when a body is burnt, the Atma is freed from the condition of going back to his previous place, attachment. अगर वो शरीर को जला दिया, उसका प्रवास बहुत तेजी से हो जाता है. Right, today we were discussing that when somebody leaves their body, in many part of South India, people read Garuda Purana. And if you read Garuda Purana, basically you develop jugupsa to this world. You feel there is nothing valuable, there is nothing a worth in this place. So ऐसा खतरनाक वैराग्य is developed, then you become a burden to the society. The society stops functioning, it becomes dysfunctional. Imagine every day people read Garud Puran, people will lose all kinds of passion to do anything good to anybody. अरे बहुत बेकार है ये. So why do they read the Garuda Purana? The Garuda Purana is specially read for the living entity who has passed away, so that he may not develop attachment to that previous body, means the body which he has just given up. Hat nikal ja udhar se. Right? That's an important principle. So here that Vidura, who is extremely gentle, he has a very clear Vyavharik side. The entire history of Sanatan Dharma, was overemphasis on Atiti Satkar. When you overemphasize on Atiti Satkar, when you overemphasize on taking all the responsibility of people's fault. Mera hi karma tha. This happened because this had to happen. Why should I blame anybody? It is good for your internal spiritual development. But when the state or the dharma has to develop, then this principle has to be practiced by people. Next one, fight without profit should be given up. आप सोचिए कौन से कंपनी का मैनेजर बोल रहे हो? Which company's मालिक is speaking? Who is this manager speaking? This is not only Vidura. Hanumanji also speaks in Ramayana. He says one should not wage a war unless it is beneficial and profitable. Now the next one, what Vidura speaks, we may be angry, भड़क जाएंगे. एक ऐसे बोल सकता है, the country ruled by a woman, boy and a fool, and today is an second day of Navratri. Yesterday people invoked the presence of Shailavasini, the 9 forms of Durga. Today she is in the form of Brahmacharini, the form which she used for invoking the togetherness with Lord Shiva. And that Shakti rules the finance department. That Shakti rules the Vidya department. That Shakti rules the governance department. That Shakti rules, even many places, Vedas are taught to them. One student who was studying Indic science, she was saying that somebody asked this question, Are Sankhya is such a complex. But Sankhya was spoken to a woman by Kapil Muni. Right? There are so many stories where Vashishta told, hey, Kaikai, you want to chase Ram away? We will make Sita sit on the throne. There are so many stories women putting. How is that Vidura was such a brilliant, sensitive protector of Draupadi, made a brilliant logic in showing his solidarity towards Draupadi, could speak something like this? The country ruled by a woman, boy and a fool will experience a great loss. He was predicting, what would happen in 2000, right? So this kind of people is talking about. क्या हो जाता है देश का? The person who is praised by a prostitute, a gambler and a sycophant will see death soon. ऐसे लोगों की स्तुतियों से आपका जीवन नष्ट हो जाएगा. Be careful with such praise. Vidura is speaking about. Another beautiful by Vidurji. Even if Brahaspati speaks at wrong time, he will be insulted. Brahaspati is a Deva Guru. ज्ञान के भंडार है. Limitless knowledge he has. And he speaks with relevance. So such Brahaspati, if he speaks something at the wrong time, सत्य होने पर भी अगर समय सही न हो, तो क्या हो जाता है? वो निंदा के कारण बन जाते हैं. He will be object of being insulted. So therefore, Desha Kala Patra becomes so important. Right? Yesterday, I was discussing with one young doctor. We were in one, standing to meet somebody, but the doctor had to meet a lot of his patients. And I was telling, meeting him, crossing all these people, they will certainly have an eyebrow raised. Are ye kahan se aa gaye? We are sitting here since hours and they suddenly come in. I was telling, I feel very hesitant to do this. Especially going to the VIP temples and seeing, you go to Balaji, thousands of people are standing and then suddenly you walk in as if you are the king, right? So then he made a very interesting point. He said you know, some famous personality, he had told his followers, he said, you know what, when you take people's time, when they were waiting and you take away their time, however many people you have taken their time, if there are 4 people and you have taken their 50 minutes, 15, 15, 15, 15, एक घंटे का समय आपने उनका लिया हुआ है, तो क्या होगा, somewhere, some or other, the prakriti will make you get stuck. And you'll say, "Arey, my God, what the hell is happening here? I'm losing my time." It is nothing but, one is the bad management by the system. That is one reason. And second is just getting back what you deserve. So therefore, here, whether it is Brahaspati or anybody, anything done at the wrong time, speak at the wrong time, वो निंदा का कारण बनी जाता है. Then Vidura reminded him. He said, I had told you when Duryodhan was born, कि give up Duryodhan. If you give up Duryodhan, your other 99 sons will survive. If you do not, even they will be killed. Very clear mathematically. But Dhritarashtra had no inclination to do that. Here he confesses. He says, my dear Dhritarashtra, he said, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And he said, Yato dharmo tata jayaha. Wherever is dharma, the victory will happen. Just making a certain statement, but not following that. 6 consequences of eating appropriately. You know, there are so many conferences, seminars on overcoming high blood pressure, overcoming diabetic, and it works. The people who take this seminar, they charge you royally, right? And they make you eat less. They simply monitor your eating habits. They get you yoga done. And dekhte, you know, one devotee said they lost 12 pounds by practicing this. Another devotee had a high blood pressure. You know, he has come down to normalcy. So this is spoken by Vidur so long back. The first thing, roga mukt, disease free, increase lifespan. एक क्षमता निर्माण होती है, and because of that क्षमता you experience sukha, because there is absence of dukkha. And then see what he's saying, when you are disease free, lifespan, strength, sukha, then naturally aapke bacche, your charming children will be born. He is not talking of their color. And a very simple one, Vidura said, no one will slander you being a gluttonous. Yes, a punchline, Vidura's punchline gives beautiful concept, then suddenly says, at least minimum this will happen. Yeah, do not stay here where there is no work, where you have to eat more. Slandering of others, where you have to cheat, where there is no political alertness. Slanderous dressing sense, कपड़े पहनाने के विधि, यहाँ ऐसे जहां भी होता है, wherever you find such thing, he's saying don't stay there because it is not sustainable. Not sustainable. Right? Just even thinking about these verses, this concept, Vidur is so realistic. And then he explains, procreate That is one of the principle. Then, oh sorry, there is a one more thing. He says, Artha binds friends and friends bind Artha. They cannot sustain without each other. मित्रता में अर्थ न हो, meaningfulness न हो. Artha is not simply money or wealth. Your friendship enhances their resources. Their resources enhances their friendship or your friendship. Simple logic hai. Very simple logic. Why do people make friendship? Because there is some benefit on a mental level, emotional level, physical level, social level. कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉफिट होता ही है. अगर केवल लॉस हो रहा हो, if there is simply loss and you still want to maintain the friendship, that means you are basically risking yourself in a toxic relationship. कुछ भी हो जाए, I will not quit. Getting lost in relationship, getting lost in friendship is not desirable. So therefore, they are intertwined, they are interconnected, they are cooperative to each other. It's talking about children. What is the responsibility of a person, man or a woman? Once they enter into grahastha ashram, the first principle is to procreate. बच्चों को जन्म देना. वन में से why? इसका भी बहुत बड़ा साइंस है, big science. Second, no debt free. Help your children to find a good profession. उनके लिए सही प्रोफेशन के लिए प्रयास करें. An important principle, legacy के लिए. Help find good husband for a daughter. अपने बेटी के लिए अच्छी पति मिलना चाहिए. Right? Why like that? Now, there is this one psychologist, a Canadian psychologist. He explains very profound point, and our people explain it in common sense. A man looks for a beautiful wife or a girl, and a woman looks for more than beauty. She looks for a man who is responsible and sustainable. हाँ, जिनके पास पैसा है, जिनके पास wealth है, they may say, I want a beautiful guy. But even having a beautiful guy, she would want that beautiful person to have higher resources than what she has. It is but natural and nothing wrong about it. Right? तो पिता का उत्तरदायित्व होता है, माता पिता का उत्तरदायित्व होता है कि support, facilitate the daughter to get a good man in her life, husband. And if you are able to do this, then it is but natural. If you have certain interest and dharma is there, then you look for experiencing a reflective life, not lonely life, but you look for having your own space. I want to spend my time reading. I want to spend my time chanting. I want to spend my time, reflecting upon, doing exercise, walking in the forest, having very limited friends who make sense. Now the friendship is not based upon he will help me to connect to this business contact. The friendship is all about same psychological disposition, where there is meaningful conversation about philosophy of life. This is a very happy principle. The question is asked. Why fear sustainable when you have when some mystic has there, but why fear when you have ability for gain? आप खुद के प्रयास से रिसोर्सेस को एकत्रित कर सकते हो। यह प्रभाव, आपके अंदर प्रभाव है, राइट? आपके अंदर तेज है। You have proven that you can grow, you have grown. And the best important principle, you have a professional expertise. तो ऐसा होने पर सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए क्यों डरना चाहिए? सस्टेनेबिलिटी आ जाएगा। One of the trouble, we see, it's so sad. If your रोटी कपड़ा मकान का समस्या दूर हो गया ना, you have a house to stay, you have money to sustain yourself, you have clothes to wear, then whatever you are fighting for, growth, learning more, that should be done in a sportive spirit, not in the spirit of anxiety, not in the spirit of envy. You sweat, like how somebody goes to play a cricket match. If it is a friendly match, when the friends are playing, nothing is staked. The credibility of the country is not at stake. तो खेलते बड़े जान लगाकर, they are sweating. But the victory or defeat does not make them lose their sleep. If it is happening like that, that means you are not qualified to play only. Because the purpose of the play is to handle victory and defeat without giving much importance while putting all the energy in that play. ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है. It's so important. If your basic sustainability has happened, rest everything is for your passion, not for simply living. ऐसा नहीं कर पाते हैं many times, and that become cause of our bondage. And that bondage and taking shelter of spirituality, becomes quite contradictory. We take to the path of spirituality not because anxiety, but for discovery. Such a beautiful thing Vidura speaks. And then he says, "Oh my dear Dhritarashtra, why fight Pandavas? If even Devatas will be tormented fighting the Pandavas. Fighting the Pandavas means you are greatest of the stupid person. Because they're so powerful, Devatas will be tormented. He is not just speaking, that is the reality." Right? When he fought हनुमान जी के साथ भीम ने चैलेंज किया. अर्जुन fought Lord Shiva. Arjun fought Indra. Arjuna defeated Indra, who was expert in making the rishis go through challenges. He overcome that. He said, why you can't see this? So Vidura says, he said, you if you want to make your enemies very happy, अगर आप अपने शत्रुओं को प्रसन्न देखना चाहते हो, तो अपने पुत्रों से शत्रुत्व कर लो. अपने परिवार से शत्रुत्व करो, आपके शत्रु लोग प्रसन्न हो जाते. लॉन्ग टाइम एंजाइटी, राइट? लॉन्ग टाइम एंजाइटी, परपेचुअल एंजाइटी फॉर नो रीजन बट एंजाइटी. एंड देन यू हैव स्टॉप्ड ग्रोइंग. अगर आपका ग्रोथ बंद हो गया है, imagine when there are political people who are basically fighting inside their own country. Yes, what is happening in Pakistan. So there are a lot of Indians take pleasure in that. There are some Indians feel like, can't do like this. You can't take pleasure based upon seeing the enemy's plight. But that is what generally happens. An ordinary human being, even a dharmic human being, who is not very spiritual, but he knows spirituality, she knows spirituality, It is but natural. When Duryodhan fell in the water, or he hit his head to the wall in that special sabha built by Mayadana, Yudhishthira Maharaj did not laugh. It doesn't mention anything about Arjun laughing. But Bhima laughed, Bhagavatam explains, and Draupadi was about to smile, or she smiled, and Yudhishthira was about to stop. Krishna said, let her smile, man. What's the problem? He allowed Draupadi to smile. Right? हाँ, अगर कोई बुजुर्ग, if some elderly person is fallen, and if you're taking pleasure in that, that's not fair, that's not correct. Right? Vidura is saying this. And then, this is very interesting. Any work has to be done, there has to be udyog. Udyog means uttayoga. You are ready to rise beyond all the limitation. Udyoga parva. You know, Pandavas knew that we need to get our property back, we need to get our land back. You know that the Kauravas are adharmic. ये जानने पर आपको राज्य नहीं मिलेगा. You don't get property because you're right. You know, that doesn't work like that. The philosophy of karma doesn't stop at simply being right. The philosophy of karma says if you're right, then enterprising होना पड़ेगा. उद्योग. उद्योग करते करते restrain होना पड़ेगा. You cannot squander all your wealth. You cannot squander all your energy. वहां संयम होना चाहिए. And then when you're doing something, do you have the ability, the skill of that work? क्या आप दक्ष हो उसमें? And then the next one is क्या आपके अंदर धैर्य, patience है? Are you careful? Do you know the memory, what is happening, why it is happening? And are you thoughtful? No, anywhere does Vidura mention that you need to have the grace of God, then only you'll be successful. That comes afterwards. This is the human responsibility. And grace is God's kindness, not responsibility. Prakriti, not her responsibility. वो देखेगी, चलो दे देंगे. Right? These qualities give rise to success. Wow, see, such a beautiful thing. This should not be cut off. Water, a flowing water को कट करके लोगों को भूखा मारना कितना गलत है. Think about it. Water, second roots. You know, anything. Now roots is not simply cutting the root of the tree. Cutting the root means disconnecting you from your family roots, disconnecting you from your Rashtra roots, disconnecting you from your dharmic roots. Huh? The Abrahamic faith, unfortunately, sometimes they begin somewhere, and one of the most important principles is to cut you from your roots. You cease to be a Bharatiya and you simply become an Islamist or you become a Christian. Dr. Ambedkar in his writing, he wrote this. How can you take something which is not part of your homeland? हाँ, you can take, but आपको अगर आपके रूट से अलग कर रहा है, and therefore those who teach the philosophy of Vedanta also, you know, uprooting anybody from any part of the world, no, we are connecting them to the roots, and through that root they will go and reach the ultimate root. Right? In the Gotra, studying of the Gotra, when you study Gotra, you may begin with your parents. People did in the Mahalaya Amuvasya, day before yesterday. उन्होंने क्या किया? अपने पूर्वजों को स्मरण किया. ऐसे करते करते करते, where will you reach? to the root, right? तो कितना महत्वपूर्ण है. This is also very interesting. In Ayurveda, जनरली फल को पूर्ण करके ही देते हैं. आपको खुद खाना होता है. उसको खुद खाने से, when Krishna was in the forest, of course, when he's in Rajabhog, उस समय ओरिजिनली कृष्णा ने कैसे कहा, डीटी वर्शिप में अच्छा से शेप कट करके देना पड़ता है. You have to give. But originally, if you see in Vrindavan, they would pluck it and offer it. In between plucking and eating the mouth, लग जाता था भोग, right? And then they will enjoy it. एक अलग ही उसका, जैसे नाइफ लग गया, उसमें टॉक्सिसिटी आने लगता है. इसलिए जितना हो सके, we are not saying stop eating cut fruits, practical world में, but as much as it is possible, it is always better to eat the fruit as it is. Pluck, if not pluck, whatever you get, clean and eat it. Do not cut off the milk. दूध को फाड़ना. अभी घी के बारे में मुझे ज्यादा जानकारी नहीं है. Do not cut off the Brahmana's desire. I want to start an educational center. If some Brahmana desires, I want to start this. उसकी इच्छा को हाव हलकर टूटना नहीं चाहिए. The words of the spiritual master, Guru's word, should not be cut off, because the link to the supreme destination, the supreme Lord, comes through the parampara system only. उसको भी काटना नहीं चाहिए. Or medicine which you are taking regularly, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, उसको भी कट नहीं करना चाहिए. और कितना, how much knowledge, common sense, profoundness, medicine, परिवार, विष्णु, सब कुछ एक 3-4 वर्ष में ये दिखाई देता है. Such a beautiful concept Vidura is giving. I have taken very less. If I have to do the entire series, every verse, it will take long time. Then Vidura says, my dear Dhritarashtra, sleep does not reduce sleep. You have to control the sleep. Lust does not pacify lust. One has to be restraining that. Fire cannot be extinguished by wood. उसे जलता है. Liquor does not make you stop drinking liquor. मद्यपान वेदों में, मद्यपान आयुर्वेद में allowed है. But when? How long? How much? That is the problem. The great self-restrained people actually dharmically enjoyed the liquor once a year for a few days, and rest of the year they would not touch only. तो ऐसे मद्यपान करना ये अमृत को पान करने के समान है. लेकिन उसको मद्यपान से, फ्रॉम लिकर टू नेक्टर बनाने वालों की संख्या कितनी है? You'll find hardly anyone. And therefore, the Vedic literature, they say better give up. Therefore, the restraint is the best policy. Fire is required. Some karma in Grahastha ashram is required. Nidra is required for everybody, that you cannot give up. लेकिन कई चीजें उसको पूर्णतया छोड़ सकते हैं. And then Vidura explained, my dear brother, everything in this world is not sufficient for a greedy person. दुनिया की पूरी संपत्ति भी हो तो एक आदमी के लिए संतुष्टि नहीं देती है. Then Vidura explained. Vidura concluded by asking never to give up dharma. Here he speaks the philosophy of, we are not this body with the spirit soul. He says nothing goes with us. Nothing goes with us. तो इसीलिए आपको धर्म से जीना है. Nothing goes doesn't mean that you don't do anything. Dharma, artha, kama creates a legacy, and moksha gives you perfection. Very simple. एक समाज के सस्टेनेंस के लिए आवश्यकता है और एक अपने उद्धार के लिए. They are interconnected. Therefore, my dear brother, what will go with you? If you are standing in line and somebody comes and takes away your turn to visit anything, they get karma. Even though they are visiting some spiritual place also, imagine how much other karma there. Other than dharma, nothing goes with the jiva. Therefore, again, Vidura say, give back what belongs to Pandavas. Now, itna sab sunne ke baad, after hearing all this, what do you think? What do you think Dhritarashtra is trying to do? He is blunt. He said, I want to give what belongs to Pandavas. But when I see Duryodhana, I cannot. Imagine the Indian dynastical political parties. They see this is not working, but they can't do. Right? Why do you think the Rajasthan chief minister wanted to maintain both the portfolio? Because he knows the president doesn't have the power. He's a rubber stamp. Right? So better I maintain my chief ministership. He might lose both, and by that they might lose the next election. इसलिए देखो, see how amazing the legacy is. And then he made such a humbug statement. Not humbug because it is wrong, because he's speaking at the wrong time. He said, I believe Purushartha is useless in the presence of Daiva. Prayas karna hi nahi chahta. He doesn't want to do any prayas. And he's saying, my dear Vidura, I don't believe in Purushartha. I believe in Daiva. जो होगा वो सही होगा, और जो नहीं होगा उससे हम क्या कर सकते. And in this way, Vidura did not curse Dhritarashtra. He was angry. But ultimately, it was his choice, his responsibility. He folded his hands, and then rest became the history where Duryodhana and his party lost completely. It's not like losing a World Cup. It is not like losing an Asian Cup. It's basically losing everything, including your life. Then again, Dhritarashtra invited Vidura to speak to him, tormented Dhritarashtra, destroyed Dhritarashtra, calls for Vidura. And that knowledge also is profound. That is also beautiful. Some other time we will discuss that. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Any questions or comments? No, there is no, this is not correct. There are not 24,000, there is 100,000 plus. I can show you in the Mahabharata itself. You read a real side book. That is one of the first argument has been dealt with.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this very practical and applicable class. Prabhuji, you said that in the olden days, people would have intoxication once in a year. So how did they develop this ability to restrain?
No, that means, the madhya what they would drink is basically, had the power to rejuvenate their body, and at the same time they had the capacity, the Sanskriti, the culture, to have the restraint. So therefore dharma, artha, kama, dharma was so powerful, moksha was so desirable, so artha, kama was done in appropriate way which would support dharma and support their moksha. Matlab, it was inherent, integrated, seamless for them. But for an ordinary people, it is recommended they which they cannot do. That means they should avoid that flavor only. How they did? Because it was there. Like how people did not watch television in 1980s, because the television was not there. So similarly, this kind of marketing business, the first time the official commercialized liquor and drug was introduced by the British in India. Will Durant is speaking, not I am speaking. Will Durant, he writes in his book, A Case for India. So then when you have so much of easily available, like in the marriages, right? The Hindus, pious Hindus, right? They have this crazy psychology of pleasing everybody. I need to please. मतलब अपने आप को कितना गिरोगे दूसरों को प्रसन्न करने के लिए, राइट? मतलब देयर इज सो मच ऑफ स्लेवरी, भर भर के स्लेवरी है. उस स्लेवरी में उनको लगता है कि हम कुछ अच्छा कर रहे हैं. अरे in Bahrain, I was talking to somebody, what other places also, if you come, and an American, other people, when they come there, the company does not provide them liquor. Bahrain allows drinking. अगर आपको पीना आपके पैसे से पियो, the company will not provide. Very clear policy, right?
Thank you.
ये जो घृणास्पद है ना, amongst the Hindus about the followers of, that is really sickening. Can't stand for, during certain functions, you can't stand for it. I know some people, they're very, very social, but they have told their friends, we will not come for the marriage if there is liquor in the marriage. हम नहीं आएंगे, आपके साथ बिजनेस करेंगे, सब कुछ करेंगे, लेकिन आपके शादी में शराब वगैरह सर्व करोगे, बिकॉज मेरे देश में लाखों लोग मारे जाते हैं, स्त्रियां को मारा जाता है, और आप इसको न देखते हुए आपके विवाह में ये सब करते हो, दैट वी विल नेवर एग्री फॉर. कहां से कहां चला गया.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there was a celebration recently to celebrate the birthday of a father who had passed away. And they had liquor, they had, all the kind of stuff which they do in parties, with the thought that it's a celebration. So it was quite unfortunate that, somebody who's already passed away, they are celebrating his birthday. And now this whole concept is about celebrating the departure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that, if you don't do Pitri Shraddha, right, you don't do all these things, so naturally it will come like this. Like today only we're discussing, the Queen was kept, the Japan's Prime Minister was kept until now, today, right? The Queen was kept for so many days, her body was kept for so many days. And recently one friend's father passed away. The villager said, we can't keep it for longer. The younger brother is there, older brother is not able to reach, we'll cremate. So the village people did not keep the body longer than, so he got a better cremation compared to the Queen also. Imagine that soul is stuck and therefore I've heard there are a lot of ghosts in main London city. तो इसलिए ये जो कहाँ से आया, where did it come from? Not having knowledge, not following the legacy, and being very much influenced by being a slave. मुझे slave बनना है, and I love to be slave by doing something which is not part of my Sanskriti. Sad, that is not correct.
Can we take some more questions?
Yes.
So, Guruji, there's a question. Can you please explain the difference between Daiva and Purushartha?
There is lecture only on this 3-day session we had done. So, this is on the YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is one last question. This question is that the difference between your time and my time, which if I don't utilize well, is not the same as giving priority to your work.
No, I didn't get what you said.
Yeah, I'm also not able to clearly understand what the question is. Devi Rasika Mataji, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question, as it's not very clear on the chat? You could raise your hand and you could unmute. Haribol?
Okay, somebody else raised the question.
Yeah. Yeah, Udayji, can you please ask your question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Okay, can I go ahead, or I think Mataji is...
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, my question is, so let's say your time, you may be utilizing it very well, and let's say I am not utilizing well. In that case, also giving priority to you standing in the line, is it considered adharma, Prabhuji?
Oh, that's, see, again, there is that when there is a common place is there. Of course, there is a big sannyasi, big teacher. If they come, they are the one. Otherwise the king comes. That is always there. But normally, it doesn't happen like that. Generally, people want to buy darshan, buy this, buy that. Again, that also started because of the secular government only. They create all this corruption. Otherwise, if you go to Udupi, it's not controlled by government. There they don't have such discrimination. Everybody comes in line, everybody takes darshan, they go ahead, and so there is no special privileges for you. It doesn't matter who you are. But whenever when there is a system commercialized, then all this kind of discrimination comes, and that is what he's saying. Then you basically add karma to it.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Udayji, can you please ask your question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please forgive me if this is not fully relevant to the current topic. But we as devotees, we try to practice ahimsa as much as possible. So I just wanted to know your thought on investing in a company, the stock market basically, which promotes meat eating. If we just consider this as a passive income, we as devotees, should we refrain from such activities?
No, I didn't get you. What you said?
Yeah. Is it, as devotees, is it all right to invest in the stocks of certain companies which promote meat eating, Prabhu? When we consider the investment as just, a source of income, a passive income.
This question, there are too many things are there. People develop software. How do you know that they're going to use in a liquor industry, in a meat industry? They're all so interconnected so much. So there are contamination in every aspect. It's a responsibility of every individual to minimize the contamination, maximize the clarity or purity. So if that is no, so I cannot give black and white answer on this regard, because There are too many complexities. There is no company which is not getting their money. How many companies get for money from different sources, invest in some good product also. Like in the source of wealth has come from so many other places. Yes, certainly, people selling meat or, and that also, if somebody is selling meat, in the Shastras, I remember reading in one of the book where it says that drinking liquor is much more criminal than actually meat eating, because meat eating happens because of the surrounding also, where people are grown up in a coastal surrounding, which is their habit to eat. They practice some kind of vegetarianism during Shravan, during Kartik, they don't eat, but they never drink wine. Now people are vegetarians, but they still drink. No.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this very practical class. We meet again next Tuesday on the eve of the Sera to understand how we can become mentally resilient and stronger. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.